Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick shout out to all of the young guys that get discouraged or worried that they could never accomplish it in this field. My field is basically welding, fabrication, and machining. 20 years I've been in this, and honestly, if someone would have told me 20 years ago that I would be doing this, I would have laughed in their face, because I also did not think that it was possible. Just a quick story about myself. I was a high school dropout. I dropped out in 10th grade. I thought I was going to be a mechanic for the rest of my life because I loved working on antique cars and cars in general. But I decided to go to the community college in Ridgely, Mississippi, Holmes Community College, and one of the classes really set me on the path of the rest of my life, and that was like intro to programming or intro to computer science or something like that. But we had to learn Turbo Pascal as a programming language, and one of the very first programs you do is, the Hello World program. Well, I did that, and because the classes were like Monday and Wednesday, so that was our homework assignment on Monday. Wednesday, I came in and I had you had to put in a password to be able to get to Hello World, and my professor was like, "Wow, you really understand this." And I did. I don't know. I'm kind of a nerd, but I really understood programming languages. And so by the time I got kind of out of that field, I had been in it for 15 years, and I was able to program in like 13 different languages. So again, still a high school dropout, had to get a GED. When I kind of got out of that field, back in the day when Jesse James and American Chopper was big, I decided I think I could teach myself how to weld and bend tube and fabricate. And so I kind of set on that path, and I did. I went to Home Depot and bought a Lincoln Weld Pack 3200 HD. That was a good little machine. I mean, it did quite well. And then I also bought a JD Squared Model 2 or Model 3, whatever it was, one of the earlier models, tube bender. So I started learning how to bend tube for motorcycle frames, and I built two of them. Back then I made like very little money at the time, and I say a little money. I mean, I made decent. We paid the bills and we had some extra, but I budgeted very little. I guess you could say that. So, so that kind of grew on me, and I built two frames. Ended up giving them away because at the time you just couldn't afford or at least I couldn't. I could not justify and afford buying all of the bling wheels and shocks and all that American Choppers and Jesse James was doing. So if they were to ever see this video, they were a huge inspiration. Billy Lane, Gary, Indian Gary, all of those guys were a huge inspiration for me because they got me out in the garage. Now, I ended up building the two frames, and then my stuff sat because I couldn't afford all the rest of the stuff. And then my neighbor, actually a year later, less than a year later, he came by and asked me if I could make some tube fenders, and I told him I had no idea what you're talking about. And he showed me what they were, and I built him a set and never thought anything of it. But he apparently posted it on a couple forums. Back then we were forums, and we didn't really have Facebook. I think MySpace was kind of the thing back then. But he posted it, and then a few weeks, I think in August or so, I started getting these crazy phone calls. Hey, I saw where you built this for this guy. Can you build me a set? And I was like, how did you get my number? But so apparently my guy kind of told them about me. So that was kind of where that came from. But by the end of the year, I was selling these things for like $750, and at the time, I think there was only 2 manufacturers doing those, and they had like a wait time of like 8 months or something ridiculous. But at the time, I was not in that industry. I had no idea. That was just not anywhere on my roadmap. So I started building those. I bought my very first plasma table. It was a plasma cam 4x8 table, and to make the skins. But I had 40 sets to get done by Christmas, and so that was stressful and whatnot. But I mean, for the first 3 years of my company, I wrote software from 8 to 5 and from like 6 to 2 in the morning, 7 days a week. Well, I didn't write software on the weekend, but every night I built these parts and I shipped them all over the United States. And so I did that for 3.5 years, and then finally left the software to do this full time. And let me tell you, it was scary. And you have to be okay knowing that sometimes you don't get paid. You have to pay the bills. You got to pay. If you have someone working for you, you got to make sure you get them paid. So it wasn't an easy road, but it was a road nonetheless, and it just makes you stronger for everything else. So at the beginning, I highly suggest don't go into debt. I was 15 years in business before I bought my first really big piece of equipment that was very expensive. The very first plasma cam that I bought, I did get a little loan for that, but it was like $13,000, and I had it paid off in 6 months. So very small, and props to them. It basically built my business. That I cannot, a lot of people don't like plasma cam, but it literally built my business from very small to where I was able to buy a laser. But yeah, no, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to have the will and be okay sacrificing some of your time or a lot of your time, and sometimes you don't get paid, so you just have to be okay with that personally sometimes. So when it's just like anything, when you're an entrepreneur, you're feast or famine. So when it's really good, and you wanna build up your war chest, so when it's really bad, you can eat still. So again, this is just motivation for y'all. If I can do it, y'all can do it. And there's people far more intelligent out there than I am that have started and failed, and some that have started and just completely blown up, just gone way above what I would ever have thought. So it's all in your drive. What are you wanting out of your life? I mean, how much control do you want? So if you want to make it, you're going to do everything you can to make it. You're going to work a 24-hour shift. There's been many a nights where I didn't go home for 3 days because I had these parts to make and I had to get them done. And so this is all your personal grit. How do you want to proceed? So again, a lot of the young guys that I hire that come in here, they have I'll hire just about anybody. You can have zero experience, and I will train you how to weld. I'll train you how to run a laser. I'll train you how to use a press brake or the CNC saw. All of our equipment basically is CNC, with the exception of a couple of the legacy pieces of equipment. And I only bought that because one of the machine shops locally was going out of business, and I love the old machines, and so I bought them. But do we use them that often? Not really. I mean, every once in a while we'll use that Acer vertical knee mill as a drill press that has side-to-side movement. So it's a little bit more in depth than that. But I still love the old school machine because, quite honestly, it's what built this industry. So don't give up. If you love doing what you do not give up. It's always, it's always a struggle, and to not give up. It's always a struggle not to give up, like when things are hard. But that's, with the COVID and all the political rhetoric and climate of the last 5 years, there's been 5 or 6 machine shops and sheet metal shops, or a combination. I think it's mainly been machine shops and one sheet metal shop that's gone out of business around here. And so you have to know what you're capable of, and if you know that you can make it work, by God, make it work. Even if you don't, order out every day, just do what you got to do to make it succeed. So another very important fact about this is you have to be able to adapt. If the market changes, you have to be able to adapt and change directions quickly. Because if you get stuck in just a straight line, you're going to straight line into the ground like a yard dart. So that's probably the biggest advice I can tell you is be fluid, be ready to change direction if you need to. So if you have any questions, post them up. I got a couple other videos on like how to start a business. It doesn't have to be like a machine shop or a fab shop, but I'll post those later, and feel free to message me. I'll get back with you. Thanks, guys.